The snow fell gently across Pine Valley as the annual Winter Lights Festival transformed the small town into a magical wonderland. Lily Chen, a 20-year-old art student with bright eyes and a camera always hanging around her neck, had been counting down the days to this event all semester long. Her friends often joked that nobody loved winter more than Lily. She collected snow globes, wore hand-knitted scarves year-round, and always volunteered to decorate the campus for the holiday season. This year's festival was bigger than ever before. The town square sparkled with thousands of twinkling lights that reflected off the fresh snow. Ice sculptors had created amazing frozen art pieces, dragons, castles, and even a life-size sleigh that children climbed on for photos. The smell of cinnamon, hot chocolate, and roasted chestnuts filled the air while local bands played cheerful music from a wooden stage. Lily arrived at the festival with her 3 roommates around 7 in the evening. They were all bundled up in heavy coats, colorful scarves, and warm boots. Lily wore her favorite red beanie, which made her easy to spot in crowds. The girls planned to try every food stand, ride the festival Ferris wheel, and stay for the famous ice lantern parade at midnight. "Let's get some photos by the ice castle," Lily suggested, already pulling out her camera. Her roommates groaned but smiled as they posed. Lily was studying photography and never missed a chance to practice. She snapped several pictures, her breath visible in the cold night air. "These are going in my winter collection," she said happily. For the next 2 hours, the friends wandered through the festival grounds, stopping to watch fire dancers, buying handmade crafts from local artists, and sampling different foods. Security cameras later showed Lily laughing as she tried to win a stuffed penguin at a ring toss game. She failed at the game but bought the penguin anyway, tucking it into her coat pocket with only its head sticking out. At 9:43 p.m., the girls stopped by the main stage to watch a local band perform. The lead singer was someone Lily knew from her art classes. People danced despite the cold, their movements creating small clouds of steam in the winter air. Festival lights changed colors overhead, painting the snow blue, then green, then red. Lily checked her phone and frowned slightly. One of her roommates noticed and asked what was wrong. "Nothing really," Lily replied. "Just some weird texts from a number I don't know." "Secret admirer," her friend teased. Lily shook her head. "Probably wrong number. They're talking about meeting up, but I don't recognize the name they mentioned." At 10:15 p.m., Lily told her friends she was going to grab some hot chocolate from the vendor by the frozen lake. "The one with the peppermint whipped cream," she specified. "Anyone want some?" Her roommates were saving spots for the upcoming ice sculpture competition and decided to stay put. "Bring us back some of those sugar cookies, too," one called after her as Lily waved and headed off into the crowd, her red beanie bobbing among hundreds of winter festival goers. That was the last time anyone saw Lily Chen. By 10:30 p.m., her friends started wondering what was taking so long. The hot chocolate stand wasn't far, maybe 5 minutes away. One of them tried calling Lily's phone, but it went straight to voicemail. At first, they weren't too worried. Phone reception at the festival was spotty due to the remote location and the thousands of people using their devices. "Maybe she ran into someone she knows," one suggested, "or found another photo opportunity," another added. But as 10 minutes turned into 20 and then 30, the girls grew concerned. They left their spots and walked to the hot chocolate stand by the lake. The vendor remembered serving a girl with a camera, but couldn't recall which direction she went afterward. The 3 roommates split up to search different areas of the festival, constantly calling Lily's phone with no success. By midnight, with the ice lantern parade about to begin and still no sign of Lily, they approached festival security. The head of security, a retired police officer with 30 years of experience, listened carefully and immediately recognized the seriousness of the situation. Unlike most missing persons cases where people simply get separated in crowds, the details troubled him. The strange texts, the silenced phone, the abandoned plans to return to friends. Police arrived within 40 minutes. They organized search teams that combed through every inch of the festival grounds. Officers reviewed security footage from cameras positioned throughout the event. The recordings showed Lily purchasing hot chocolate at 10:18 p.m., then walking, not toward her friends as expected, but in the direction of the parking lot. She appeared to be looking at her phone as she walked, possibly reading or responding to messages. The final footage of Lily showed her approaching the edge of the festival grounds near the north parking area at 10:23 p.m. She paused, looked around, as if checking whether anyone was watching her, then continued walking out of the camera's view. By morning, with temperatures dropping well below freezing, the search expanded to include the wooded areas surrounding the festival. Volunteers from the community joined police officers, calling Lily's name as they trudged through knee-deep snow. Search dogs followed her scent to the parking lot where it abruptly disappeared, suggesting she had gotten into a vehicle. Most disturbing was the discovery of Lily's red beanie and phone, found carefully placed on a bench at the very edge of the festival grounds. The phone had been turned off, not simply out of battery. Next to these items sat the small stuffed penguin she had bought earlier that evening, now positioned as if looking out over the winter landscape, waiting for someone's return. As dawn broke over Pine Valley, painting the snow-covered scene in soft pink light, the festive atmosphere had evaporated completely. The cheerful winter celebration had turned into something much darker. A young woman had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only footprints in the snow that stopped suddenly, as if Lily Chen had simply disappeared into the cold, thin air. The morning after Lily's disappearance, the small town of Pine Valley woke up to a very different atmosphere. The cheerful festival decorations still hung throughout the town square, but they seemed out of place now. Police cars were parked where food trucks had been the night before. The festival management canceled the remaining events out of respect, and many visitors packed up early to head home. Detective Maya Rodriguez arrived at the police station before sunrise. At 38, she had handled missing persons cases before, but something about this one made her uneasy from the start. The careful placement of Lily's belongings didn't suggest someone running away or getting lost. It felt deliberate, almost like a message. "Tell me everything again," she said to Lily's roommates, who had barely slept. The three young women sat, huddled in the police station's small interview room, clutching paper cups of coffee. Their eyes were red from crying and they kept checking their phones, hoping for news. "She was totally normal all night," said one roommate, scrolling through photos from earlier in the evening. "Look, here she is by the ice sculpture contest. She was laughing, taking pictures of everything." "And these weird texts started when?" Detective Rodriguez asked, writing notes in a small leather-bound notebook. She preferred handwriting to typing. It helped her think better. "Around 9:30, I think." She didn't seem super worried, just confused. She thought it was a wrong number. Rodriguez nodded. "And none of you saw what the text said exactly?" The roommates shook their heads. "She just mentioned someone wanted to meet up. Said she didn't recognize the name they used." For the next several hours, Rodriguez interviewed festival workers, security guards, and food vendors. She created a large timeline on the station's whiteboard, marking Lily's last known locations with red dots. By lunchtime, the timeline was crowded with details but offered few answers. The police tech specialist, Officer Wilson, pulled up Lily's social media accounts. Her last post showed her smiling in front of a massive ice dragon sculpture. The caption read, "Winter magic everywhere. Can't believe how amazing these ice sculptures are. Winter Lights Fest, Pine Valley." It was posted at 9:12 p.m., just over an hour before she vanished. "Any activity on her account since then?" Rodriguez asked. "Nothing," Wilson replied. "No posts, no messages, no logins. Her digital footprint just stops." Rodriguez rubbed her tired eyes. "What about her phone records?" "That's interesting," Wilson said, turning his computer screen toward her. "Those mystery texts came from a prepaid phone, activated 2 days ago, used only to contact Lily, and now it's off. Impossible to trace who purchased it. Untouched, since she bought hot chocolate at the festival. Her credit cards haven't been used either." By afternoon, the search had expanded miles beyond the festival grounds. Volunteers from neighboring towns arrived to help, some bringing horses to reach deeper into the woods. Others brought drones with thermal cameras to scan areas too dangerous to search on foot. The local news ran continuous coverage, showing Lily's photo and asking anyone with information to come forward. Lily's parents arrived from their home 3 hours away. They sat with Detective Rodriguez, their faces pale with worry as they answered questions about their daughter. "She's always been responsible," her father said, his voice breaking. "Even as a little girl, she would call if she was going to be 5 minutes late. She was so excited about this festival," her mother added, clutching a family photo. "She's been sending us pictures of the ice sculptures for weeks, saying we should all come next year." Rodriguez asked gentle but necessary questions. Did Lily have any enemies? Had she mentioned feeling unsafe recently? Were there any ex-boyfriends or relationships that ended badly? The answers gave her little to work with. Lily seemed well-liked, focused on her photography studies with no obvious conflicts in her life. As evening approached, the search teams returned, cold and discouraged. Despite hours of searching through the snowy landscape, they had found nothing new. "We need to check every vehicle that left the festival last night," Rodriguez told the police chief. "That's over 2,000 cars." "I've already requested the toll booth camera footage from the highway," the chief replied. "But it's going to take time to go through all of that." The media attention grew by the hour. By nightfall, Lily's story had reached national news. Her photograph, smiling with her camera, wearing her red beanie, appeared on screens across the country. The hashtag, #FindLilyChen, started trending online. On day 3, a possible break came from an unexpected source. A gas station attendant 40 miles north of Pine Valley called the tip line. He remembered seeing a young woman matching Lily's description around midnight on the night she disappeared. The security camera footage was grainy but showed someone, in a coat similar to Lily's. She appeared to be in a blue sedan with 2 other people, but their faces weren't visible. "It's not much," Rodriguez said, studying the footage, "but it's something." The investigation set up roadblocks and checkpoints along the northern highway. Officers showed Lily's photo to hundreds of drivers. Tips began coming in from across the state, but most led nowhere. 1 week after the disappearance, Rodriguez sat in her office late at night, surrounded by case files. On her computer screen was a map showing all possible routes from the festival grounds. Red pins marked every reported sighting, every tip, every lead they'd followed. Most had been dead ends. Lily's roommates had provided access to her laptop, hoping it might contain clues. The browser history showed nothing unusual, just school research, photography websites, and online shopping. Her photo collection was massive, thousands of images meticulously organized by date and location. The most recent folder was labeled Winter Lights, Final Project, containing the photos she had taken at the festival. Rodriguez clicked through them slowly. The last image showed the frozen lake at the edge of the festival grounds, taken just minutes before Lily went missing. Something about the photo caught Rodriguez's attention. In the background, partially hidden by trees, was a blue sedan, the same color as the car from the gas station footage. As the first week of the investigation came to a close, the town of Pine Valley remained on edge. Flyers with Lily's face hung in every shop window. The festival ground stood eerily empty, the remaining ice sculptures slowly melting in the winter sun. The case had hit a frustrating standstill despite the intensive efforts of law enforcement. But Detective Rodriguez wasn't giving up. She had the photo of the blue sedan enlarged and enhanced, hoping to make out a license plate or identify the people inside. Someone out there knew what happened to Lily Chen, and Rodriguez was determined to find them. 23 days after Lily vanished, the case had gone cold despite Detective Rodriguez's best efforts. The initial media frenzy had died down. Newer stories pushed Lily's disappearance from the headlines. The search teams no longer combed the woods daily, though weekend volunteers still showed up, refusing to give up hope. Rodriguez arrived at the station early that Thursday morning, as she had every day since taking the case. The picture of Lily smiled at her from the investigation board, surrounded by maps, timelines, and dead-end leads. She was pouring her first cup of coffee when Officer Wilson knocked on her door. "Package came for you," he said, holding a small, brown envelope. "Already went through security screening." Rodriguez set down her coffee. Who's it from? No return address. Just your name. Pulling on latex gloves, Rodriguez carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a plain USB drive with no markings. Her stomach tightened. After 3 weeks of nothing, this felt significant. Get this to tech right away, she told Wilson. Full virus scan before we look at anything on it. 2 hours later, after thorough security checks, Rodriguez sat in the tech room with the police chief and 2 IT specialists. One of them plugged in the now cleared USB drive. Single video file, he said. MP4 format, 8 minutes, 17 seconds long. Rodriguez nodded. Play it. The screen remained black for several seconds, then flickered to life. Lily Chen appeared, sitting on a metal folding chair in what looked like a basement or storage room. Concrete walls surrounded her. A small window high on the wall showed snow-covered pine trees outside. Lily wore the same clothes from the night of the festival, but her red beanie was gone. Her hair looked unwashed, but she appeared physically unharmed. Everyone in the room leaned forward, barely breathing. Lily looked directly at the camera, her eyes darting occasionally to someone off-screen. She held a piece of paper and began reading in a voice that sounded rehearsed, almost robotic. My name is Lily Chen. Today is February 4th. I am safe, but I cannot come home yet. She paused, looking briefly off-camera before continuing. 7:32:15, Pine Street, Maple Avenue, Lakeview Drive. The random numbers and street names made no sense. As she continued reading, Lily recited more numbers, more street names from Pine Valley, then mentioned something called the Frost King. Her hands trembled slightly, and though her voice remained steady, her eyes told a different story. Fear, confusion, and maybe something else. A desperate intelligence trying to communicate beyond the words she was being forced to read. The festival continues underground, she said near the end of the video. Only those who truly see winter will find the path. Then the screen went black. For several moments, no one in the room spoke. The timestamp showed the video had been recorded just 3 days ago. Lily was alive, at least very recently. Play it again, Rodriguez said, already taking notes. And again after that. By the 6th viewing, they had broken down every detail they could see. The concrete room had no distinguishing features except the small window. The view showed only pine trees and snow, which described half the region during winter. Lily appeared uninjured but clearly under duress. Audio analysis detected no background noises that might help locate her. No traffic sounds, no machinery, nothing but silence. Most puzzling were the random numbers and street names. Rodriguez had officers check each address mentioned, but nothing connected them. Some were residential homes, others businesses, a few didn't exist at all. It's a message, Rodriguez insisted, pacing her office that evening. She's trying to tell us something. The department brought in a video forensics expert from the state police. He spent hours analyzing every frame, looking for hidden clues or metadata that might reveal where the video was filmed. Whoever made this knows what they're doing, he told Rodriguez. They stripped most of the metadata, but they missed something small. He pointed to his screen where lines of code filled the display. There's GPS data embedded in one of the frames. It could be an accident or Lily put it there somehow. Rodriguez finished. Can you extract coordinates? The expert nodded. Already did. It points to an area about 30 miles northwest of here. Very remote. Forest land with a few scattered cabins. Not much else out there. Rodriguez immediately called for maps of the area. The coordinates pointed to a section of national forest, where a few private properties existed before the land became protected. Most were hunting cabins used seasonally. Meanwhile, Officer Wilson had been researching the phrase Frost King mentioned in the video. He burst into Rodriguez's office just as she was examining the maps. I think I found something, he said, holding printouts from old newspaper archives. There was a group in this region back in the 1970s called themselves Devotees of the Frost King, some kind of winter solstice cult. Rodriguez took the papers, scanning quickly. What happened to them? Disbanded after their leader died in 79, or at least everyone thought they did. Wilson handed her another paper. This one a printout from an obscure online forum dated just last year. Looks like someone's been trying to revive the old traditions. Rodriguez read posts discussing the return of true winter worship and finding vessels worthy of carrying winter's spirit. The language was vague but disturbing. And get this, Wilson continued. I checked missing persons cases from neighboring counties. 3 young women disappeared from winter events over the past decade, all unsolved, all described as artistic or creative types. Rodriguez pinned the new information to her investigation board. A pattern was emerging, a disturbing one. She called the police chief immediately. I need a search team ready by dawn, she said, and contact the FBI. I think we're dealing with something bigger than we realized. That night, few people at the Pine Valley Police Department slept. Rodriguez studied everything they knew about the old cult, trying to understand what they might want with Lily. The forum posts suggested they believed certain people could channel winter spirits, whatever that meant. The video forensics expert called around midnight with another discovery. I found something else in the video file. A single frame near the end has been altered. He sent her the image. A split-second view of what appeared to be a cabin with distinctive blue shutters. The State Forest Service confirmed such a property existed near the GPS coordinates they'd found. As the hours until dawn ticked by, Rodriguez prepared her team. If Lily was at that cabin, they would find her. But they needed to be careful. Whoever took her had planned this meticulously and managed to avoid detection for weeks. For the first time since the investigation began, Rodriguez felt real hope. The video wasn't just proof of life, it was full of clues Lily had somehow managed to include despite her captor's watchful eyes. The young photographer had found a way to communicate beyond the script she'd been forced to read. Hold on, Lily, Rodriguez whispered to the smiling photo on her desk. We're coming. The morning air bit with cold as Detective Rodriguez and her team gathered outside the police station. Dawn was just breaking, painting the sky in pale pinks and golds that reflected off the snow. Everyone moved with purpose, checking equipment, reviewing maps, loading vehicles. 2 FBI agents had arrived overnight, bringing additional resources and experience with cult-related cases. We'll approach from the east, Rodriguez told the assembled officers, pointing to a map spread across the hood of her car. The cabin sits in this clearing, surrounded by woods on all sides. There's only one access road, which makes our approach tricky. They'll see us coming unless we go in on foot for the last mile. The team nodded, faces serious. They all understood what was at stake. Almost a month had passed since Lily's disappearance, and the video proved she was alive just days ago. Every hour mattered now. As they prepared to leave, Officer Wilson approached with his laptop. I've been digging deeper into this Frost King cult, he said. Their original leader was a man named Thomas Blackwood. Local guy, worked as a librarian before starting the group in the late 60s. What was their belief system? Rodriguez asked, pulling on her gloves. Complicated mix of old pagan winter rituals and his own ideas. They believed certain people could become vessels for winter spirits, especially creative types with connections to nature. Artists, photographers, musicians. He looked up. Like Lily. Rodriguez frowned. And the other missing women? One was a music student, another a painter, the third a nature poet. All disappeared during winter events in neighboring counties. None were ever found. This information cast an even darker shadow over their mission. This wasn't a random kidnapping. These people had targeted Lily specifically, perhaps watching her for some time before making their move at the festival. The convoy set out just after 7 a.m., 4 police SUVs, an FBI vehicle, and an ambulance following at a distance. The roads grew narrower and rougher as they headed into the mountains. Cell reception faded, then disappeared entirely. Radio became their only form of communication. Rodriguez sat in the lead vehicle, studying the file Wilson had assembled on Thomas Blackwood and his cult. Though officially disbanded decades ago, there were signs it had continued operating in secret. Internet forum posts dating back several years showed discussions about preparing for the revival and finding worthy vessels. Most disturbing was, a passage from Blackwood's journal found after his death. Winter requires sacrifice. The vessel must be willing, or become willing. Through isolation and instruction, the vessel learns to embrace the frost within. An hour into their journey, they reached the point where vehicles could go no further. The narrow dirt road ahead was blocked by fallen trees, possibly a deliberate barricade. From here, they would continue on foot. "Remember," Rodriguez told the team as they gathered their gear, "we don't know how many people we're dealing with. Their primary value is Lily, so they won't want to harm her, but they may have weapons and will likely resist. Our priority is getting her out safely." The officers moved quietly through the forest, spreading out in a practiced formation. Fresh snow had fallen overnight, making each step a challenge but also covering any sounds they made. Rodriguez led one group while the FBI tactical team circled to approach from behind. After 40 minutes of careful hiking, Rodriguez's radio crackled softly. "Visual on the cabin," came the FBI agent's voice. "Blue shutters, just like the image. Smoke from the chimney." One vehicle parked outside, blue sedan. Rodriguez felt her heart rate increase. The blue sedan, the same one from Lily's photo and the gas station footage. This had to be the place. "Any signs of movement?" she whispered into her radio. "Negative. Windows are covered, no outside guards visible." Through her binoculars, Rodriguez studied the cabin. It was larger than she had expected, a main structure with what appeared to be an addition built onto the back. The property had once been a hunting lodge before the surrounding land became protected forest. The perfect isolated location for a group that wanted to avoid attention. Something about the setup troubled her. It seemed too quiet, too unguarded. Either they were extremely confident no one would find them, or... "Hold positions," she ordered suddenly. "I'm not seeing any footprints in the fresh snow around the cabin." The FBI agent confirmed her observation moments later. "No tracks around the vehicle either. It hasn't moved since the snow fell." Had they already moved Lily somewhere else? Or was this some kind of trap? Rodriguez decided on a cautious approach. 2 officers with the best wilderness training would circle the entire property, looking for any signs of recent activity. The rest would maintain position and watch for movement. 20 tense minutes passed. The scouts returned with puzzling news. "There's a second structure," one reported. "Hidden from this angle. Looks like an old storage shed or cellar entrance, about 50 yards behind the cabin. There are fresh footprints leading to and from it." Rodriguez adjusted the plan immediately. The main team would still approach the cabin, but a smaller group would target the outbuilding. If Lily was being held there, they needed to secure both structures simultaneously. At exactly 9:45 a.m., the operation began. Officers approached the cabin from all sides while Rodriguez led 3 officers toward the hidden structure. As they drew closer, she could see it was indeed a cellar entrance, a sloped concrete doorway leading underground, partially concealed by overgrown bushes. The main team radioed that the cabin appeared empty. No immediate signs of occupants despite the still warm fireplace. But as Rodriguez reached the cellar doors, she noticed something that made her blood run cold. A small security camera mounted above the entrance, its red light blinking steadily. "They know we're here," she warned through her radio. "Everyone move in now." The cellar doors were secured with a heavy padlock. One of the officers moved forward with bolt cutters while the others provided cover. The lock snapped open with a metallic crack that seemed deafening in the quiet forest. Rodriguez drew her weapon as they pulled the doors open, revealing a set of concrete steps descending into darkness. A faint light glowed from below, and the air that rushed out was surprisingly warm. "Police! Anyone down there, identify yourself," she called out. No response came, but she could hear something, a faint humming sound, like electrical equipment, running. The team descended cautiously, flashlights sweeping ahead of them. At the bottom of the stairs they found not a simple cellar, but a fully furnished underground living space. Computer equipment lined one wall, surveillance monitors showing views of the forest, the access road, and the cabin itself. Whoever had been here had seen them coming and had time to prepare or escape. In the center of the room stood a metal folding chair, the same one from the video. Behind it, the concrete wall was covered with photographs, news clippings, and printouts. Many showed Lily at various campus events, obviously taken without her knowledge. Others showed the previous victims, arranged in a disturbing timeline. But it was what Rodriguez found on the main computer that truly revealed the scope of what they were dealing with. Files detailed not just their winter cult beliefs, but plans for vessel preparation, extending months into the future. This wasn't just about Lily. She was merely the latest in what they planned as an ongoing series of abductions. And at the very back of the underground room, a heavy metal door stood slightly ajar, revealing a dark tunnel beyond, an escape route leading deeper into the mountainside. "We need backup and a team to secure this tunnel," Rodriguez radioed to the officers above ground. Her voice echoed slightly in the underground room. "And get the tech unit down here immediately. There's equipment we need to analyze before they have a chance to wipe it remotely." The discovery of the tunnel changed everything. How far did it extend? Where did it lead? And most importantly, had they taken Lily with them when they fled? One of the FBI agents examined the surveillance system. "They saw us coming at least 40 minutes ago," he said, reviewing the footage. "Cameras on the access road picked up our vehicles." Rodriguez pounded her fist against the wall in frustration. So close, yet possibly too late. The tech unit arrived. Within minutes, immediately setting to work on the computers. Rodriguez inspected the tunnel entrance with her flashlight. Boot prints in the dust showed several people had moved through recently. The tunnel itself was surprisingly well constructed. Reinforced walls, electrical wiring for lights, even a crude ventilation system. "This wasn't built overnight," the FBI agent remarked, standing beside her. "They've been planning this for years." A shout came from one of the tech officers at the main computer. "Detective, you need to see this." On the screen was a map showing a network of tunnels extending from their current location. Some pathways led deeper into the mountain, eventually connecting to natural cave systems. One route, marked in red, ended at a second exit point nearly 2 miles away. "There's a small access road there," the officer said, pointing to the screen. "If they had vehicles waiting." Rodriguez didn't wait to hear more. She was already on her radio, coordinating teams to head to the second location. Every minute counted now. As officers prepared to enter the tunnel, a flash drive left prominently on the desk caught Rodriguez's attention. A note attached to it read simply, "For Detective Rodriguez." The team approached it cautiously, checking for traps or triggers before connecting it to a secure laptop. It contained a single video file. Rodriguez's heart raced as she opened it. Lily appeared on screen, still in the same room from the previous video, but something was different. Her eyes had a distant, almost glazed look. She spoke without reading from a paper this time. "By now, you've found our sanctuary, Detective," she said in an oddly flat voice. "But you're too late. The Frost King has accepted me as his vessel. Winter flows through me now." Her words were rehearsed, almost robotic. Then, for just a moment, her expression changed. A flash of the real Lily broke through. Her eyes cleared, and she whispered quickly, "Second exit, black van. Listen to the coordinates I gave you, not random." Then her face smoothed back into that empty expression as someone off camera made a sound. The video ended with Lily reciting what sounded like a poem about winter claiming its chosen ones. "She's fighting whatever they've done to her," Rodriguez said. "And she left us another clue." She turned to Officer Wilson. "The numbers and street names from the first video, what if they're not just random? What if they're coordinates or a code?" Wilson was already pulling up the transcript. 73215, Pine Street, Maple Avenue, Lakeview Drive. He thought for a moment. The streets all intersect in downtown Pine Valley, but in different spots. "What if the numbers are map coordinates?" one of the tech officers suggested. "Or maybe..." His fingers flew across the keyboard. "Wait, the street numbers. What are the street numbers at those intersections?" Wilson checked the city map. Pine Street has addresses in the 700 block at the north end. Maple and Lakeview intersect at, let me see, the 3200 block. And Lakeview circles back around to the east side at the 1500 block. 73215, Rodriguez said. Those aren't random numbers. They're locations. She turned to the map of the tunnel system. Let me see the coordinates of that second exit. The numbers matched perfectly. Lily had encoded the location of the escape route in her seemingly nonsensical recitation. She knew we'd figure it out, Rodriguez said, a mixture of admiration and determination in her voice. She's been helping us all along. Teams were already heading toward the second exit point, but Rodriguez worried they might not arrive in time. She made a quick decision. I'm going through the tunnel, she announced. They have at least 30 minutes head start, but they'll be moving slowly if they're bringing Lily with them. 2 other officers volunteered to join her. They grabbed flashlights, radios, and emergency supplies, then entered the dark passage. The tunnel was roughly 6 feet high, forcing them to hunch. Slightly as they moved, the air grew colder and damper the further they went. Communication with the surface became spotty, then failed completely as they moved deeper into the mountain. They were on their own now, guided only by the tunnel lights and their own determination. After 20 minutes of steady progress, they heard sounds ahead, footsteps and voices echoing in the tunnel. Rodriguez signaled for silence. They moved forward more cautiously, keeping their flashlights pointed at the ground to avoid giving away their position. The tunnel widened into a small cavern where natural limestone formations merged with man-made supports. Just ahead, 3 figures were visible. 2 men in heavy winter clothing flanking a smaller figure that had to be Lily. One man was helping her walk, her movements unsteady. Rodriguez signaled her team to spread out. They would have one chance to get this right. "Police, don't move!" she shouted, her voice bouncing off the cave walls as all 3 officers switched their flashlights to full brightness, temporarily blinding the group ahead. What followed was a blur of motion. One of the men reached for something in his coat, but an officer tackled him before he could withdraw it. The second man tried to pull Lily deeper into the tunnel, but Rodriguez cut him off. He released Lily, who collapsed to the ground and tried to run, but the narrow tunnel left him nowhere to go. Within moments, both men were in handcuffs. Lily sat on the ground, looking dazed but conscious. Rodriguez knelt beside her. "Lily? It's Detective Rodriguez, you're safe now." Recognition flickered in Lily's eyes. "You found the clues," she whispered. Her voice was hoarse and she seemed disoriented, but she was alive. "Yes, we did, thanks to you." Rodriguez wrapped her jacket around Lily's shoulders. "Can you walk? We need to get you to medical help." It took nearly an hour to get back through the tunnel, with Lily needing frequent rest. By the time they emerged into daylight, an ambulance was waiting. Paramedics immediately took over, checking Lily's vital signs and starting an IV for fluids and medication. As they prepared to transport her to the hospital, Lily grabbed Rodriguez's hand. "There are more of them," she warned, her eyes clear, despite her exhaustion. "The leader, they call him the Frost King, he wasn't there. He's still out there." Rodriguez squeezed her hand. "We'll find him. But right now you need to rest and recover." In the days that followed, the full picture emerged. The 2 captured men provided information leading to the arrest of 3 more cult members. Records found on the computers revealed detailed plans for additional abductions, along with journals documenting previous victims. Lily spent a week in the hospital, recovering from dehydration, mild hypothermia, and the effects of drugs used to make her compliant. When she was strong enough, she shared her story, how she'd been lured to the parking lot by texts claiming to be from a festival organizer, how she'd been kept isolated and subjected to the cult's indoctrination methods, and how she'd maintained enough awareness to leave clues in the video. "I knew that if anyone could understand what I was trying to say, it would be you," she told Rodriguez during an interview at the station. 1 month after her rescue, Lily returned to college. The psychological scars would take longer to heal than the physical ones, but she was determined to reclaim her life. She started a campus awareness group about personal safety and warning signs of cult recruitment. The case remained partially open. Despite extensive searches and the interrogation of captured cult members, the leader, the self-proclaimed Frost King, remained at large. Border Patrol was alerted, and warnings went out to other law enforcement agencies nationwide. As winter gave way to spring in Pine Valley, the case faded from headlines. But Detective Rodriguez kept Lily's photo on her desk, and each time snow began to fall, she wondered if somewhere, in some other small town preparing for winter festivities, the Frost King was watching, waiting to find his next vessel.